Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon, and today is Thursday. It's supposed to be a weekly update. Kyle did that for me this morning because I've been all over the place in Jerusalem, other parts of the occupied Palestinian territories, traveling in Israel. Now I'm in Jericho. So today is Thursday, it's November 14th. Today is day 405 since the attacks by Hamas on the south of Israel more than a year ago. So I don't know that this will exactly be a weekly update, but there is quite a bit of news to share. I wanted to begin with a congressional update before summarizing the news of the past week. This does come from Kyle Christophalo, the head of our DC office at Churches for Middle East Peace. He summarized some of the congressional news. HR 9495 has threatened to strip nonprofits, to strip the nonprofit status from any group the Treasury Secretary deemed as offering material support to a terrorist organization. But this failed in advance. The bill was brought to the floor under unanimous consent. It's a parliamentary procedure intended for bills that should pass easily and require support of 2/3 of the votes instead of a simple majority. In most cases, the votes are done by voice instead of a roll call or a recorded vote. The member in charge of the proceedings is given the authority to determine whether the voice vote was sufficient to meet the 2/3 requirement. However, any member is able to request a roll call. In this case, Representative Lloyd Doggett, who was a Democrat from Texas, requested a recorded vote, and the bill passed 256 to 145. But this was not enough to clear a 2/3 majority, so the measure failed. And the party breakdown of the vote was 204 Republicans who voted yes, 52 Democrats voted yes, 144 Democrats voted no, and 1 Republican voted no. This is all important because the bill will most likely be brought back for a vote under the new Congress that will be voted in January. So we could see that happen. We could also see it attached as an amendment to a must-pass bill, another bill that of course, will move forward in Congress, but it needs to approve before the end of the year. The final and most likely option is that it could return in the next Congress, as I just mentioned, where we fully expect, that there's a Republican trifecta, the Republican, of course, in the presidency, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House. The implications of this is that groups that are viewed as pro-Palestinian could be identified as pro-Hamas, which then could be viewed as pro-terrorist. So the concern is that this could be used to mitigate the support for organizations that are supporting Palestinian self-determination, even if they're not supporting terrorism. So that's the big concern with that bill. The other news about Congress was that we expect the joint resolutions of disapproval. The joint resolutions of disapproval is Senator Sanders' initiative seeking to block certain arms sales to Israel. We expect that to be voted on next week. There is a resource that CMEP has available from our member communion, the Friends Committee for National Legislation. So you can contact us if you'd like access to that. It gives an overview of the mechanism of the joint resolutions of disapproval. It lists out the 6 that have been introduced. At this stage, we don't know if he'll try to force a vote on all 6 or just a few of them. But we would encourage you to advocate on that matter. You could mention all of them. All of them are under consideration for a vote and so should be viewed as active. I think I mentioned this previously, but Vermont Senator Peter Welch called on the Biden administration to suspend offensive military aid to Israel, saying that Yoav Gallant, who's the outgoing defense minister in Israel, confirmed that there's no justification for Israel's continued involvement in Gaza. And he said, why are we allowing the humanitarian crisis to worsen with US taxpayer dollars? And so that was Senator Welch from Vermont. I did want to let you know we have an action alert app on the CMEP webpage. It's a part of our Advent campaign called Advent, Not Arms. And we encourage you, we're calling for the withholding of arms because Israel has been using them in violation of international law. You can edit the language as you see fit. I wanted to give you an update on Christians in the Middle East. You know, including myself, CMEP has several staff here on the ground. We're here for a women's summit called Ends Till We Rise. It starts tomorrow. Please be in prayer for us. There's about 30 internationals here. We expect 70 Palestinian women to be joining us tomorrow, and with a number of Palestinian Christian leaders. Tomorrow will be men and women, and then the next 2 days are women only. Keep us in your prayers. We had a pastors and leaders meeting in Bethlehem on Tuesday with Christians. One of the main themes being brought up in almost every meeting we have with Christian organizations, with bishops, with some of the key church leaders, is that bishops, church leaders, pastors, civil society, and young people from Jordan to Bethlehem to Jerusalem, is that Christians are disappearing and leaving. They can't get their children to stay. And so at any opportunity, Palestinian youth are leaving. If they go to school in the United States, then they want to stay. Children that are going to the YES program, which is a high school program offered by the State Department, then when they come back to Palestine, they're dissatisfied and they want to leave as soon as they can. So the Christian community is dwindling and it's disappearing literally before our very eyes. And so some of the things we can do to support the Christian community in the Holy Land right now are so incredibly critical, especially in the middle of conflict and war and violence. One of the things you can do is come. And that might seem really scary, but you can come and show solidarity, meet and worship and be in prayer alongside the Christian community here. You can pray, joining the community who are Christ followers, in Israel, in Galilee, in Jerusalem and the other parts of the occupied territory. You can support the churches here in your efforts to encourage people to stay. Support scholarships that don't have Christians leaving, but that have Christians staying through, Bethlehem University, through Bethlehem Bible College, through the schools and universities that are here, so that Christians will stay in the Middle East instead of leaving and never coming back. Sponsor Christian programs and ministries that encourage life through Christian partnerships. Even things like having your Sunday school class make Christmas cards for children in the churches here. I'm traveling with one of our board members, and she is a Catholic, and her Catholic church partners with another Catholic church in Jordan. And we brought these wonderful cards from their Sunday school class as a part of this church partnership program. And that's a wonderful way that you can remind Christians here they're not forgotten. They're being prayed for, and they have people who are thinking of them, and that their children, are thinking of them. So some other updates. Some of these are from the last 24 hours. Some are from the last week, but the IDF reported in the last 24 hours that it attacked over 100 targets in South Lebanon and Gaza with artillery and airstrikes. Dozens of militants were killed. Militants is from the IDF. My phone has just been beeping all day long with alerts from the West Bank, from Lebanon, from Gaza. OCHA says that there have been 5 mass casualty attacks that took place in Gaza City and in towns in North Gaza between November 4th and 10th. 5 mass casualty events. I don't know if you can hear it right now, but there's actually aircraft flying over right now, which we're in the Jordan Valley. And so that's something we pay attention to is why are there aircraft flying over? Sometimes that's aircraft fighting drones or for other reasons. So I haven't gotten any alerts as of yet. But when you're in the Palestinian territories, there are not bomb alerts. It's only when you're near Jewish community centers that there are alerts for missiles or for bombs. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant group yesterday released a new video of an Israeli hostage who's been held in Gaza for over a year. A Hebrew news channel reported that the Israeli army believes the Islamic Jihad military branch has 10 Israeli captives. We don't know, of course, that that's the total number of captives left alive, but that particular militant group, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, is believed to have 10. Facing a water crisis exacerbated by war, locals and displaced people in Gaza testify that they have to wait hours in line for buckets of contaminated water, which they boil in order to prevent disease. That was a report that came out today, and the death toll in Gaza is at least 43,736 people killed and at least 103,370 people wounded. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman yesterday accused Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians during a summit in Riyadh. The Washington Post reported. In the West Bank, the Israeli army announced that one of the Golani unit soldiers killed is a resident of a settlement there located near Ramallah, and it's expected tonight and perhaps tomorrow that there will be attacks by settlers in the West Bank. In Lebanon, the Arabic-speaking spokesperson for the IDF called on residents in several buildings in South Beirut to evacuate on Wednesday and Thursday. And the Lebanese health minister said that 21 people were killed and 73 wounded in Israeli attacks on Wednesday. Lebanon may respond within the next 24 hours to a ceasefire proposal that was sent by the U.S. And the IDF yesterday released the names of 6 Israeli soldiers from the Golani Brigade, the 51st Battalion, who were killed in South Lebanon. The number of Israeli soldiers is increasing, and we're hearing reports of soldiers being killed almost daily. A Middle East news channel reported that Syria, on the latest attack, saying 15 people were killed and 16 others were wounded, including women and children. Significant damage was caused in buildings in Syria. Israel took responsibility for the attack, which was targeting Islamic Jihad members. So these are the new updates from the last 24 hours. I'm sorry, I'm not really doing a weekly update for today. There's just a lot going on. But today I wrote this note to some of the women who are here, and we were talking about some of the things that are happening. And these women are attending and praying for the End Still We Rise Summit. And I wrote this to them, and I just wanted to share it with you because it's a bit of how I've been feeling. This has been one of the hardest trips I've had this year, and maybe ever. It seems to be the most difficult as the news is just coming at us in each and every way. Missiles constantly, news from the West Bank. I just read a story tonight of a young boy. I could read it to you. I mean, this update is just unbelievable. It's like you just can't. This was an incursion by the Israeli military. It says the Israeli forces beat an 11-year-old, Ala Asfour, and assaulted a 17-year-old child, seizing his phone and sending a threatening message to a local group, warning that they would kill anyone who caused trouble. This was in Sinjel, a village outside of Ramallah, where there was an incursion by the Israeli military. The news is just constant, and it's so devastating over and over and over again for more than 400 days. The stories that are being told, the stories that we're hearing, the reality on the ground. And the people here, the Palestinians who we've been meeting with, are so full of frustration and despair. Many whom we know and love, not to mention all of the earthly obstacles, the challenges, the stupid things that seem to get in the way, the organizational, impediments to getting things done, the lack of sleep, the inability to be able to exercise, the fact that the people in Gaza don't have water, the limited resources, that everything is just so hard. And one of the bishops who was speaking on Tuesday night said that it is when we are in the moments of the most sheer desperation and emptiness that when God is most present, that's when miracles happen. And when I sit in these political meetings with world leaders, and when I watch our country, the most powerful country in the world, continue to spend billions of dollars on weapons that kill thousands and thousands of children, I could not feel like more of a failure and in more desperate and desperate need of Jesus and of God. And so my prayer is, come, Lord Jesus, we desperately need a miracle and are desperately in need of peace. So might peace come quickly, and might God go before us in the name of Christ.